For the Boacon Haripur 122, today is the first day of the program. Today we have workshops. So we have started the nature program. Now here in Bhavni we have a arthroscopy workshop. So I request Arvind Gupta, co-director of the workshop, to start the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samsul. So on the behalf of BOA, I, Dr. Arvind Gupta, am co-chairman. Going to start this workshop on knee arthroscopy. For this chairperson will be Dr. Rajiv Ram and Dr. Tarun Solanki. Please come on the dais. And first talk by Dr. Manish Kumar from IGMS. So he will be talking on clinical examination of the knee joint.
I thought this is a basic examination of the knee joint after a patient sustains injury of his knee. So once there is a injury not involving the bones, so the things which has to be assessed is the ligaments and the soft tissue injury. So if one can go in a systematic manner, what structures have been damaged can be elucidated. So the structures which can be at risk after the injury to the knee are the menisci, the ACL, UCL, PLC, MCL and PMC. So one by one, if we can go, then we can have an idea of what structure has been damaged. So suppose you want to assess the menisci. So there are certain tests which has to be performed so that the meniscal injury can be ruled out. The commonly performed tests are like the joint line tenderness, the backwards test, the abdominal grinding test, and Thesalis test. The other tests which I have mentioned, they are not commonly performed, but the first 4 or 5 tests can be useful. The first is the backwards test. The most commonly performed is the backwards test. Here, the patient is laid down supine on the bed, and a maneuver is performed. The purpose of the maneuver is to somehow trap the torn part of the meniscus between the condyles of femur and tibia. And during the maneuver, the patient feels pain or a click, then the meniscus has been damaged. The sensitivity and the specificity of test is 51 and 78%. This is how the mechanism is performed. So from a flexion, the limb is taken into an extension and we try to trap the down part of the test. The second test is the abdominal grinding test. The concept is similar. Here the patient is laid down in a prone position and you do a grinding maneuver. So if you are able to track the top part of the meniscus, the patient will again have a pain or a click, and the test can be a suggestive of a meniscal tear. Thesalis test. Here the patient is made to stand in front of you, hold the hand of the patient and ask the limb to be tested. That is flexed slightly and the opposite limb that is raised in the air. And in this position, you ask the patient to twist either the inner or outer side, and if the patient is again having a symptom of pain, you can have some information that the meniscus might be damaged. The Aegis test. This is basically a modification of the McMurray's test, and this is performed in a weight-bearing position, that is in a standing position. And McMurray's test is done in a supine position. Here the foot, they are placed around 1 foot apart, and when you externally rotate the toes and ask the patient to squat in a position around the angle of around and during the squatting, the patient feels with the toes externally rotated. That means that the damage of the middle meniscus. And with the internal rotation, you have got an idea that the left meniscus might have been damaged. Now these tests, they are just a theoretical aspect. We have not performed it, but it is also mentioned in the literature. The child test, there's a duck walk test, the bounce home test. They are the tests. The next structure which comes to mind is the ACL. So we have got a battery of tests like the anti-draw, latchman, pivot shift, and the release test. So these can be performed, and you can have some idea of the cruciate ligament, anti-cruciate and not. Anti-draw test, very commonly performed test. Basically, the amount of translation, the anti-digital translation, that is just the field, the hand field has to be tested. If it is a four-hand field, that means the meniscus, the cruciate is intact, and if the field is empty end field, that means it is torn. The Lachman test. This is done in a 20-degree position, and again the field that is checked whether it is a muscle field or a firm field. Questions are raised on why the anti-draw test is done in 90-degree position, the Lachman test is done in 20-degree position. That has to be asked during the session. Pivot shift test. This is basically a dynamic test, but it is performed passively. So you basically check for the ambulatory stability of the knee. And during this test, a positive test is assessed when a subluxated tibia returns back or reduces back during this maneuver at around 30 to 40 degrees of flexion. So a very specific test for the ACL tear, the pivot shift test. But for performing this test, you need a complete relaxation. So basically, this test is performed during examination under anesthesia. That means on the OT table, that's the best time to go for a pivot shift test, because many times if the pivot shift test is grade 2 or plus, then you should think of whether I should go for a primary LET also with the ACL reconstruction in a young patient. The release test, a new battery of tests in the battery. Here the basic principle is that by the intact ACL, it can offset, the ability to offset the force of gravity by the intact ACL. That is taken into the consideration. And if the ACL is intact, the patient's foot would go up when you give a pressure here. So that the ACL is intact. And if it is torn, if the ACL is torn, the tibia, the anterior tibia drags forward and it is unable to create the offset, and the heel strike remains on the bed. So that's the release test. If you compare all these tests, you can see the various sensitivity and specificity of all these tests individually, and you can analyze which one can be done. Now for PCL, there are certain battery of tests like the posterior draw test, the posterior sac sign, the Godfrey's test, Muller's active test, push quadriceps active test, and diet test. So there are the battery of tests. The most accurate method is the posterior draw test. Here you see the amount of posterior translation and which can be perceived at odd angles of flexion, but at the angle of 70 and 90 degrees it is mostly most appreciable. Next one is the posterior sac sign of the tibial station. In normal conditions at 90 degrees of flexion of the knee, the tibia usually lies at around 1 centimeter in front of the condyles of the femur. In grade 1, 2, 3 and 4, the differences are in 0.5 centimeter, and in grade 2 the tibia and the femoral condyles are almost in flush, and in grade 3 the tibia can be translated at least 1 centimeter posterior to the femoral condyles. The Godfrey sign. The 90-90 test, you can see the variation. There's basically variation of the sac sign, and you can see the stepping which is visible. The knee and hip, they are both are placed in 90-degree position. The Muller's quadriceps active test. The patient is placed in the 90-degree position of the knee joint, and you stabilize the foot. And then you ask the patient to contract his quadriceps. If the PCL is torn, you can appreciate the movement of the proximal tibia in the forward direction by the contraction of the quadriceps muscle. But many times you are not able to perceive this test accurately, so a modification of this test is performed. That's called the push quadriceps active test. Here, the same maneuver is performed, but the angle is slightly lesser than 90 degrees, and you apply a passive force to push the tibia backwards, and at the maximum amount of the maximum when you push it, and then you ask the patient to contract his quadriceps. And at the time the patient is contracting his quadriceps, you slowly leave the pressure off the proximal tibia. And then in this way, you are better able to appreciate the forward subluxation of the tibia by the contraction of the quadriceps. So that's a push quadriceps active test, and it is considered to be a better test than the quadriceps active test. This is how you perform the push quadriceps active test. The dial test. The problem or the points which should be remembered while performing a dial test is that at least all the three posterolateral structures has to be damaged for the test to become positive. And if at all you are thinking of a combined injury, so at least the injury of the PCL plus at least two posterolateral body structures has to be damaged. If only one or two structures are damaged, then you may not be able to get a very good dial test. So this is how you perform the dial test. More than 10 degrees of external rotation that is taken into consideration, or that is considered to be a significant one. And if it is in 30 degrees, then the focus will be on the PLC, and if it is at 90 degrees, then it is PCL. And if it is both at 30 and 90 degrees, then you have got an inference that both the PLC and the PCL has been damaged. Now the test for the PLC, the battery of test for PLC are the various stress test, the dial test, the reverse pivot shift test, external rotation recoverment test, posterolateral draw test, and the various thrust gate. Now various thrust gate or the various stress test that has to be performed in both 30 degrees as well as in complete extension. If the patient is giving you a positive various stress test in 30 degree of position, then there is injury to the FCL or the LCL, and there is a potential injury to the PLC. And if in this state you are able to perceive or you are able to see that the gapping is still persistent when you extend the knee to 180 degrees, then there is a chance that LCL is associated with the injury of the PLC and the cruciate ligaments. And if the stability is regained by incomplete extension, that means it is only suggestive of a FCL tear only. The dial test already discussed. The reverse pivot shift test, it can be again done. The patient's knee is placed in anterior position, and a valgus stress and external rotation load is given. By slow extension movement, the subluxated lateral tibial plateau reduces back at around 40 degrees of flexion, then it can give you inference that the PLC is damaged. The positive effective value of this test is only around 60%, false positive results are seen. External rotation recoverment test is a very good test. It was first described by Houston, and it was the patient lies supine on the bed, and both the toes of the patient, the leg is cut and it is lifted up. The amount of hyper extension and the external rotation of the tibia, along with the vas angulation, if it is perceived while performing this test, then there is an injury to your PLC. The posterior draw test, the knee is stretched at around 90 degrees, and the foot is externally rotated around 15 to 20 degrees. And in this position, you give a posterior thrust to the tibia. And if the lateral as opposed to it is a shift of the outer aspect of the tibia backwards, that is suggestive of a PLC injury. The vas thrust gate. As you see, when the patient is having a gait, basically the ligaments around the knee, they are keeping the knee joint stable. So if at all, any of the structures, they are not in position or they are not able to maintain the stability of the knee joint. So during the stance phase of the gait, when the ground reaction force goes up, and if the lateral structures, they are deficient, so leads to a vas angulation of the knee, and when the patient is asked to walk, you can see every stance phase of his gait, you are having a vas thrust. So that's a very good test for your PLC injury. Next on the medial structure and the posteromedial structures, we have got a battery of two tests, and the valgus stress test and the anteromedial draw test. Now, these tests can be performed if the valgus stress test is performed in 30-degree of position and you are able to perceive a gap, that means there is injury to the middle structures. So 30 degree of flexion is a very important angle which can isolate the medial side of the knee from the posteromedial corner. So if you are having instability in full extension, that means there is a tear of MCL as well as one or both the cruciate ligaments. And if you want to assess the PMC, the posteromedial corner, the anteromedial draw test is a very important test which can give you an inference. The knee is placed in the 90 degree of position and the foot is externally rotated around 10 to 15 degrees. And in this position, if you are giving an anterior external rotatory force, and if the anterior subluxation of the medial part of the tibial plateau is perceived, that means it gives you an inference that there is some sort of problem happening in the posteromedial corner area. So in a nutshell, what I want to say, a proper history and a clinical examination can give you an inference that what structures has been damaged, and from there you can proceed further with the different battery of investigations to manage the condition of a ligament injury. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manish. Any question from audience on clinical examination?
Suppose, sir, there is one patient who has a varus test positive, but your varus test negative, but your diagnosis is positive.
Varus test is negative.
Negative.
What angle? 30 or
At 30.
30.
And the dial test is positive.
What angle?
Dial test is 50 degree. 30 degree it's positive, more than 50 degree rotation. How do you interpret that?
First of all, for interpreting, you have to take other tests also in collaboration.
Right?
The other test for, suppose the dial test is positive at around 30 degrees of angle, that means you are focusing somewhere around the posterolateral corner area. Okay. And then the other tests like your posterolateral draw test, your rhizometer test, they have to be also taken into
as per your instruction, if the dial test is positive at 30 degree, PLC is gone. Am I right? Dial test is positive at 30 degree, that means your posterolateral corner injury is there.
But single test cannot give you a complete conclusion, so you need to have a battery of tests, and the final inference can only be derived.
So you don't rely too much on the dial test. You don't rely too much on the dial test, is it?
No, I cannot rely fully on that test. I cannot.
Okay. Now what I wanted to say here is that the dial test is the test for the rotatory component of the PLC. The rotatory component.
I wanted to mention in that for a dial test to become positive, you need at least 3 structures to be damaged.
That's what I mean. It's not the 3-2. That's what I want to say. I heard that. That is precisely the reason why I am asking.
Complete yes to LCM and the other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All those three. If at all you are having a combined injury, that means at least one PCL and 2 of the posterolateral components has to be involved. Only then you can get a positive information that with the dial test.
Okay.
A single ligament drawn, you cannot achieve just a dial test.
What is important is the complete test, because it is very complete test. What Sunita is asking is varus test is for your lateral collector. If you have varus negative and dial positive, so your collateral is intact, but your rotatory instability by complete test as well. I think that was your concern.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for this senior resident disease, the most important test for meniscus you do in your OPD, what are the tests?
In our OPD, the most commonly performed test for meniscus is the McMurray test and the joint line tenderness.
That's perfect. So, joint line tenderness, one of the most sensitive tests for meniscal lesion. Just roll your finger on the joint line on the medial side or on lateral side. if there is any meniscal component, you must find there is some tenderness part. And that can confirm with your McMurray test or LSC test. These two. Apply grinding is little bit more painful test, so usually people avoid it. Many a time you have MRI says ACL tear, but you don't find your anterior door enlargement test. It's happened in around 10 to 15% of the cases. So what are that conditions?
Now, MRI is suggesting that the AC is torn and clinically you are not able to perceive the test. So
Yeah, or you can take it other way. Patient is telling that, Doctor, I have instability.
but you are
or
not
the
able to
needle test, but you cannot appreciate that test.
The reasons can be very clear cut that you are not able to relax the muscles completely. So examination and anesthesia is very important. So if you are able to not able to elicit the test clinically, then the next step is examination and anesthesia (EUA), and there you might be able to elicit tests.
So hamstring relaxation is must. Many times ACL gets torn from the femoral notch and it gets attached to the PCL. In such type of condition, your anterior door enlargement will be negative, but pivot test. So in initial days, we usually do anterior door enlargement most of the time. As we progress, we do start doing this pivot test.
Bucket handle material is another condition where you cannot elicit your draw test if there is a fixed bucket handling of the material.
Yeah, that is another condition. If there is knee lock because of your meniscus is entrapped in between the femur and anteriorly, again anterior door enlargement will be necessary. And also in ACL spine eversion cases, it's very difficult to get laxity of your knee, your anterior door or lateral. Similar with the PCL spine eversion, you don't find too much of laxity.
Many times when we are slightly delayed because you have got some form of adhesive side, refractor side because of the eversion. So many times you are not able to perceive or address a positive test.
So whatever test you do, whatever your clinical examination says, whatever is your inference, but if the patient complains of visibility, the knee has to be stored.
I think the take-home messages are three things. First, most common finding is hamstring tightness, try to relax the hamstring. Second important point is partial ACL tear or in LRJ. Sometimes the part will not get a classical anterior anterior. Third point, procedure that lock knee usually will not get a classical anterior or alignment test for that.
Proper history and clinical examination. Very important.
So now I would like to invite Dr. Arvind Prasad Gupta. He will be talking on focus of knee.
I'll be talking. So I'll be talking on focus of the knee orthoscopy. That is one of the most basic part when we start doing this orthoscopy part. So usually position is either supine, it's supine always, maybe a straight leg or maybe it's hanging at the level of knee by breaking your operating table. Two kneecaps should be always there, and all these are the positions you can do the orthoscopy part. Either side hanging of your leg, or it's the complete hanging of the leg by breaking the table, or over the table by 90 degree at 90 degree knee pressure by putting a bar or your assistant can hold the foot at the 90 degree. So usually I do in 90 degree knee at side hanging. Your leg is hanging into the side. In this position it's very easy to perform figure of 4, and also you can do the valgus stress by just applying your assistant on the proximal part of the thigh, and you can stress the leg. and all the position is very easily can be done in this position. And before making portal, it's always good to mark the knee, because in early days when you do orthoscopy, whenever there will be difficulty in vision, you ask your technician to pump the knee, and knee get too much swollen, and after that making another portal will become very difficult. So always identify the landmark, that is the patella, tibial tuberosity, patellar tendon, and then find the joint line. Finding joint line again is very important. So both on the medial side and lateral side. These are the permanent landmark of your knee, and it should always be marked when you are doing orthoscopy in your initial part of your journey. And there is huge list of portals, starting from anterolateral portal, that is the Boacon portal most of the time. You may get changed with anteromedial portal, most of the time it's working, but maybe Boacon portal, then superolateral, superomedial portal, posteromedial portal. Now it is very important portal for PCL reconstruction, ramp repair, and another synovectomy, loose body in the posteromedial gutter, similarly posterolateral portal. SSV anterolateral and SSV anteromedial portal, and the central portal. So we will start with the anterolateral portal. A standard anterolateral portal is around 1 centimeter lateral and 1 centimeter above the joint line. Lateral to the patellar tendon, that is a standard. But this may get vary according to your surgery. If you are doing surgery for the PCL, in that case you have to look down behind the tibia, then your portal should be high above as much as possible. If you are doing for the meniscus, then it remains the same. But again, if you want to do in the posteromedial gutter, then it should be the more medial as much as possible. In that way, you can go into the posteromedial portal easily. If it will be too lateral, then there will be difficulty in doing it. And this portal should be met at the angle of 90 degrees. At the angle of 90 degrees, you just insert your trocar cannula inside the trochlear groove, interpatellar area, and then you extend the knee slowly, and at 30 degrees, then you go into the suprapatellar cross. And then from there, you remove the trocar, check for your water flow, and then put your scope inside the joint. And then you move your scope toward the medial gutter, and once you are on the medial gutter, then you will start flexing the knee at 90 degrees. And then once this portal has been met, that is the Boacon portal, then you come on the medial side, that is the anteromedial portal, that is the working portal most of the time. Again, location is same, but again position changes. In PCL you become high. For meniscus, you become little bit low than the standard one. So first start with putting the needle. It should not be at the level of meniscus or below the meniscus. It should always be above the meniscus. And this needle also helps in your triangulation. So with the needle you can get your scope C and slide your needle over that, so that at the tip you can come into the view, your illuminated light there, so that you can see the tip of the needle. Then start with your knife. Like this, video is not so good. You can see this is the meniscus, and your needle is coming above that. So this is very important. Your this light source should be towards the medial compartment, so that you are seeing everything. Your needle, your knife is coming. Your knife is coming and not cutting the meniscus, not cutting the cartilage of your condyle, or not damaging the ACL. This is very important, because in initial part of your career, these are at risk, because control is not so much, your vision is not so very clear. So always, and also you use this hemostat. Because of this fat, always obstruct your blunt instrument like your probe and other thing. to go inside the joint. So always use this hemostat in initial days. So you can see here this triangulation part done. This is outside picture, and after that you take the knife. Your knife should always be tied over your handle. This is very important. You can see the knife was tied over the handle, and then here there will be difficulty when you pass this instrument. So always use this hemostat to separate the fat, and then you can go easily with your saver and save the fat, whatever the fat coming in your front of your camera. The next is posterior-medial portal, very important portal nowadays, help in exploring your RAM, PCL reconstruction. Many a time loose body goes most of the time in the posterior part, either on the posterolateral side or posterior-medial part. So again here landmarks are the semimembranosus, MCL, and the medial head of gastrocnemius. The medial head of gastrocnemius will be somewhere there. This is semimembranous, and MCL will come around this part. So center of that there will be softest spot. So here you can see your camera comes in the just posterior side over the medial meniscus, and then you do little bit of the varus at this point at around 40 to 80 degree of deflection, and then your camera scope will go into the posterior medial corner. And here you make the portal under vision. Use your needle or IV cannula, whatever it is, and see whether you want to come. It may be high posterior medial portal somewhere there, or it may be low posterior medial portal depending upon what you want to do. And many a time it may be VU portal, so you can see from there and not from the posterolateral side. So this is the knife is coming from here. Here you can see so this is the posterior medial part, and here you can see the camera is in between the PCL and the medial condyle of the femur. You are going in with little bit of the varus at around 18 degree of deflection, and see this is the RAM. This is in the posterior part. Until you are not in the posterior medial girdle, you cannot see this structure. And this is the junction of the capsule and the posterior part of the medial meniscus. That is called very commonly missed lesion with the ACL reconstruction, with the ACL layer. You can see this is the gap. And nowadays recommendation is if gap is bigger or there is too much of the gap between the meniscus and capsule, you should always repair this lesion, because the chances of ACL failure after missing this injury is high. So again, making the portal with needle, you can see here. And this is your RAM part. And this your lasso is coming from that portal. Nowadays there is ramp lasso also, or a standard shoulder pancart lasso also work in this case. You can see here, this is a fresh lesion, so no need to debride too much. In chronic cases, always remove some little bit of the fibrosis and soft tissue, and work with the help of lasso as you work for the shoulder, the pancart lesion. Take the bite from the capsular side, then come over the meniscal side here. Usually 1 or 2 this bite is good enough. So after taking from the capsular side, take a thick bite over the meniscal side also, because the chances of re-tear will be high. Here I came just over the capsular side, and then this lasso is getting fast, and the suture get retrieved over that. You can see the suture is getting retrieved. So here you are putting the sliding object, and in this way this gets closed. Another suture in the similar process. So next is the superolateral portal. Again, very important portal, particularly seeing the patellofemoral articulation. This is one of the best portal to look. Then the superolateral medial and then superolateral portal again here. Again you can see the patellofemoral articulation almost around 2.5 centimeter above the superolateral corner of the patella. This is outside picture and this is the inside picture. So with the help of needle, then over the knife, you come inside the joint, and this, when you use this as a viewing portal, you can see the patellofemoral articulation in a very good way. Here you can see the patellofemoral articulation, very good viewing portal when you are doing this patella dislocation surgery. So this sunrising view is very clear with this portal. This is the view. Then again, just like posteromedial portal, there is posterolateral portal again for loose body removal, or when you are being from the posteromedial side and you are working from the posterolateral side. So this portal is again very important. Again, in between the LCL and the lateral of gastrocnemius. And similarly, here you can see once you are inside the posterolateral gutter, you put the needle from outside it, and then you put the knife, and you can make that portal. Yeah, that is it. So my scope is in posterolateral part. From here, this needle will come, and again the similarly knife will cut this. And yet this portal can be used as a working portal for synopectomy, debridement, loose body removal, or many times working viewing portal also. And this is the receiver draw. So SSV anterolateral portal and SSV anteromedial portal. SSV anteromedial portal almost 2.5 centimeter from the patellar tendon. Always when you are making this, always be careful about the MCL on the medial side. Many a time when you go too far, the chances of injury of the MCL is high. And this is very important portal for making anatomical ACL reconstruction. The central transpatellar portal of it is very important portal when you are working for ACL spine reversal. So again at 90 degree of knee flexion, when your patellar tendon is under full tension, nick with the knife almost a centimeter below the lower bone of patella. So this is the complete diagnostic orthoscopy both inside and outside picture. When you are in the trochlear suprapatellar area, then you come to the trochlear groove, then you move your scope to on the medial side, and always look your right table. So opposite to the right table you are seeing. Once you are on the medial gutter, you see the medial meniscus, then you start flexing the knee at 90 degree. And once your knee is at 90 degree, you see the meniscus complete, medial femoral condyle, lateral medial condyle, then you come to the intercondylar area, your ACL is here, your PCL is here, then you come to the lateral gutter. This is your posterior horn of the lateral meniscus is there, then the lateral condyle of the femur, lateral condyle of the tibia, and then almost. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arvind, for a wonderful presentation. Any questions from the house? I think it was very self-explanatory, so no question.
Arvind, what is the take on closure of portal? Whether you try to see the portal or something just to try to approximate the
Dr. Anand Jyoti never sutured this portal, but I always used to suture this portal because I don't want to take any risk of this skin wound. So always because black portal is little bit bigger for particularly this accessory and medium. So I don't want to stuck this bigger equally. So many people don't suture it, but
So what a good thing of that, yes, Gurudev, please.
For the routine ACL reconstruction, usually the lateral is you have no floating this one. But for medial, you have to pass the reamer of the pelvic so that can close that medial only.
What about the classical strawberry teaching, whether you make the skin incision and the capsular incision do differently or it's a single incision? So I think most of us are doing it a single incision because the sanitary usually covers the portal. But Gurudev it is very good because when you are using the reamer through that, you are more over that salivary layer. So better to close that portal. Because otherwise you will substitute.
Nowadays, yes. Regarding the posteromedial portal, nowadays many people are using the radiofrequency. Just taking the skin and the artery forces, and then they break the capsule with the radiofrequency.
I think it's under direct visualization. You can break the capsule with the RF also, but if you are doing it routinely, I think with the needle and the capsule, you can just cut the capsule. So that, but I am using blade, 11 number blade. But one important thing, always tie your blade when you are doing the posteromedial portal. Your blade will never stack well for any anterior superlateral portal. What happens in posterolateral portal? It goes through the layer of skin, subcutaneous tissue, muscle, and sometimes your fascial layer also. The chances of your 11 number blade getting stuck inside when you are taking your handle out is there in the posteromedial portal.
We have certain instances where the blade gets stuck inside.
So you tie it.
But nowadays we are tying
That is. Sunita, I think you are using, what is the use about transeptal portal? I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Arvind, do you do the transeptal portal? Because I find it very useful in particularly PCL avulsion or PCL reconstruction also I have started, and I think it usually decreases the chances of vascular injury as well. I mean, the transeptal portal is really a good idea to start. If you really want a good visualization, if you are using a 30-degree scope, then it gives a very nice idea. If you are not using a 70-degree scope, which very rarely any of us are using it, so I really find the transeptal portal a very nice thing.
particularly the PCL.
Exactly.
Dr. Manish, I think you want to highlight something, yes, please.
Say something regarding the blade, the shaft blade. Any incidents that the blade has been broken inside the...
Yes.
And what is the reason behind its breakage?
So when you are taking the drawing, any time it's always easy to take the direction in which you have put the but when you rotate the knife,
Yes.
so chances
You
of
put the knife inside and take it out in the same direction. The moment you try to rotate it,
Yes.
there's a chance of breakage. So that should always be avoided. Never try to rotate the handle of the knife. You are going to break the knife.
particularly on the posteromedial side, because capsule on the posteromedial side is much thicker than the
And if you break it there, you will see very difficult to retrieve it out.
When I was in USA, I have seen the professor who always cut that ACL with the elevator number 9. And he saw all the 14 fellows that those who are watching surgery, see these are the two bundles because he is a fan of the bundles surgery. So he all the time cut his ACL with the elevator number 9. And the same thing I apply there, and I have two instances that the blade is broken and went inside the posterior aspect of the knee joint.
Get your blade so you
Yes, no, that's why you agree on. But still I got doing this such kind of.
So brother, you must use 11 number blade from US only.
But now it is.
The beam of message is not to cut the ACL.
Because for my hand, in my hand, why it is broken? Because I think I have rotated and another thing I have stuck with the bone. Yes.
And sometimes because you have soft tissue fragment also in the blade at the handle. So that is also one of the reasons that you have damaged also. And these blades are non-malleable. It's not malleable. If you just try to bend it, outside table outside will break.
It's very easy.
It's very high.
No elasticity.
Yeah, no elasticity. It's not malleable.
I request Dr. Sanjay to please present the statement.
Good morning friends, greetings from Kolkata. I will talk on making of a good figure talent. So friends, you see this slide is very important. You have pointer, sir? Here we can see. You see, this is the lateral side of the tibia. You are seeing the interarticular thing. The lateral meniscus is a small one and the medial meniscus is a bigger one. You can see the insertion of ACL and PCL in between the medial eminence, and this is the anterior part of the lateral meniscus. This is not only a point. This is an area which is nearly 18 millimeter in breadth. Okay, so it is a huge, a large area. So, while making the portal, the anterolateral portal, the bleeding portal should be made little bit high. That means just lateral to the tibial tendon and more towards outside, so that if you put your scope from that portal, you can get the bird's eye view. And with that you can identify, or you have to identify the posterior edge of the lateral meniscus of the anterior horn. And 40% of the medial to lateral width of the interspinous process is the side for the proper tibial tunnel placement. I am coming to my next slide. And it is approximately 15 millimeter anterior to the PCL. We all know that. Again, this slide is very important. You see, this is the line. This is the line which is drawn on the tibial articular surface. And this line is called Jacob line. It connects the widest area of the tibial metaphysis. Okay. So on this line, if you divide this, if this is your 0% and this is 100%, then your tibial tunnel should exit at the junction of 40%. Okay, it's not 1/4. This is nearly 1. You see, this is your tunnel placement. You should exit in the intra-articular part 40% of this line. Okay, so the target is 40 to 45% on the Jacob line.
Sanjay, back to the previous slide. Very important slide it is. Only thing, when you are looking post-op X-ray, so your tibial spine is this. So your tibial tunnel will be along the tibial spine. Many times it becomes difficult, whether it is 40%, 50%, 60% by seeing the X-ray. So your tibial spine is this. So your tibial tunnel will be along, is just crossing over the tibial spine. It means in the lateral view, your tibial tunnel placement is ideal. Because calculating this 40, 60 always not possible and you don't have too much of time. So just see the anterior tibial spine and your tibial tunnel should be just crossing over this.
Just the
Yeah.
And this is radiology of time. This is the only thing where you can use your CR. Okay. So now coming to, you see this is a normal ACL. It is not tall. In extended knee, you know, we all know it is nearly 35 millimeter in length. 7 to 12 meter is the diameter, and as I have already told, 18 millimeter is the footprint. 18 millimeter footprint on the tibial side. Okay. Between the medial and lateral eminence, just anterior to, just posterior to the anterior horn of the lateral meniscus. So, this is the normal ACL. Now, this is again a very important video. While placing your tibial jig inside the knee for making the tibial tunnel, three things are most important for making proper tibial tunnel. Number one, what are the reference points? What are the reference points we use? Number one is the medial and lateral eminence. Number two, the PCL. You can create your tibial tunnel, or you can place your jig by seeing the PCL. The point is 50 millimeter anterior to the PCL. You will see. Okay. And the third thing is the anterior horn of the lateral meniscus. So in this video, you will see all the 3 points. Okay. You see, this is the medial eminence. Just right over the medial eminence and the drop of point is the correct side. And again, this you see, this is the anterior horn of the lateral meniscus, and you see this is the PCL. 15 millimeter anterior to the PCL is the correct. If you put your jig there, then you will the maximum chance of having a good tibial tunnel. Now you see, once you have identified the correct, you have placed your jig, whatever jig you use, the elbow jig or the pointed jig. Once you have placed, now the guide wire has to be inserted. So here we can see the putting of the guide wire. This is the elbow jig. And once you have put your guide wire, it has to be rimmed with the proper size of the rimmer according to the graph which we have harvested and prepared. And once you can see the rimming, and it generates a lot of debris. If you are not going to clear, then while inserting the graph, it might create problem. The reason will be also here. So what we generally do, you can say with caution, because before that, if you make your femoral canal, then probably the sutures will be there. Sutures will be there. So while not rimming and also while clearing your debris, it might turn your that thread. Okay. So if the tibial tunnel is too anterior, then the pathological impact of the ACL onto the notch root, which can lead to extensor deficit. And if it is too posterior, then persistent instability will take place.
you, Sanjana. Any question from floor? Yes, Dr. Manish.
For the two delegates, you mentioned about the position where the tibial canal should be placed. Now, is it 15 millimeters 90 to the PCL? Now, how do we exactly measure how many millimeters we are away from one structure to the other structure? Is there any way of measuring it?
It's normally 6 to 8 millimeter anterior to the anterior margin of the PCL.
But how do you measure it?
So it's only the probe is the only guide. The 5 millimeter probe is the only guide which will guide you about the measurement.
No, if you are using a elbow chip, if you are using a elbow chip, then only just you touch or just be anterior to the PCL. That will be, the elbow is nearly 7 millimeters.
So that elbow thing is touching the anterior most part.
Because your midfield will hit over the elbow. Again, it will be 5 millimeters. 5 to 7 millimeters is good amount distance from the anterior part of your PCL.
Both these things can be taken into
Yeah.
consideration. The probe can be used for measurement.
Yes, that's important here.
I mean, I'm not sure how many of us are using that guideline nowadays because PCL, is running through the PCL is taking its insertion interior quite far posteriorly. We are only touching the ligament, okay? So I think a better guideline is the posterior border of the anterior horn of lateral meniscus, which is majority of the people are now following. You exactly come out at that point only. So I think it's a better guideline. You don't need to measure anything. And if you are putting a probe, you are using a little too much of force, then the PCL might get indented because that is ligament only. So it's not a guideline. You cannot.
So you have two soft tissue landmark for Sanjay told. One is the PCL and second is the anterior of the lateral distal. The most consistent landmark is medial tibial spine. I think medial tibial spine drop point will be there every time. Sometimes you have some may have lateral meniscus injury or something like that. And that is a very consistent drop point which you can use for your for junior lateral review message. You can use as a routine landmark.
Yeah, this point is perfect, Dada, because this medial tibial spine is not going to change anyway. Your PCL may change, your anterior horn of lateral meniscus may change, but your medial tibial spine is always a consistent thing. At the same time, as we have seen in the X-ray, post-operative, your guide pin should be just coming over the anterior tibial. As this, the medial tibial spine is elevating over the tibia, and also your tibial, this drill pin, also coming over that. So that is the thing that remains constant. I have shifted from anterior horn of lateral meniscus to the medial tibial spine.
And one more thing, I think in the extension also, if you look into that, after doing your PCL XA reconstruction, you do the extension, as you are seeing whether the graft is touching on your roof or not. And that is also a very good guideline whether after the surgery you will know whether your tunnel is exactly on the right position or not.
I think the best way is a value 5 or 8 pin. At that time only you can check whether it is leaking or not.
Yes.
No, my observation with the lateral meniscus and rear horn is that in the smaller knees, if your equipment placement is not correct, then there might be incidences for injury of the lateral meniscus by the
Yeah, it's very good.
But I think also there are any other reference also. If the knee is small, your graft is 10 millimeter, then you probably land up with the injuring a bit of anterior horn of lateral with the reference in other landmark as well.
Regarding taking the lateral meniscus anterior as a reference point, seeing in spite of the different types of tear of the lateral meniscus anterior horn, the attachment part is always remaining. So that can still be a reference point for the tibial tunnel.
Only one condition, many a time your anterior horn of lateral meniscus may be above.
That's one condition where you might
Medial
get
spine, that is good landmark for primary and medial ACL also. You will get that everywhere.
How many anterior horn of lateral meniscus avulsion you have
It's
seen?
very rare.
Very rare. And mostly associated when there is
I have not seen
tibial
any
spine.
single.
That's why
When you are dealing with the tibial spine avulsion,
That is also always high.
particularly older than 6 months, 1 year, you are going to reconstruct the ACL, and you have to remove this tibial spine avulsion. then you find that your NTA on a plantar meniscus is also floating. It's very common. Neeraj is doing thesis on this ACL spine avulsion. So Neeraj, what is the important landmark for your ACL footprint?
Sir, it should be fixed on the avulsion fracture only, sir. Where it has been avulsed from, sir.
It's okay. But ideally, what is the ideal footprint of your ACL over the knee?
Sir, just medial to the medial spine, sir.
Okay, you are seeing that one. Any other from this audience?
And now we have footprint jig from Artex also, where you can put an oval jig over the footprint. So it will go with, it's a round oval shaped jig. So those jigs are also available there. And one thing, Sanjay, I think sometimes what happens, you have misfinding of the diaphragm by putting of the jig. Alright. So in those conditions, I think for juniors, it's important that you don't try to take that between out. Keep that between there, relocate your jig and fire this into between. And that will help you by pointing out your right point of the tibial tunnel.
Sanjay, we have discussed all about the intra-articular part. What about the extra-articular part of your sleeve of your jig over the proximal part of the tibia? What should be the ideal position of that sleeve? Extra-articular over the proximal part of the tibia. That sleeve position.
For the time we have complete place. Otherwise, in past days when BT was more common, then this was very important. It should be just above the insertion of the place ancillaris, okay, semi, and in between the midline of the anterior and the
Okay. So it's almost around 30 to 70 degree, and in this coronal plane, if you see the curve, so almost 2 centimeter from the tibial tuberosity.
So I think again, if you are doing isolated ACL, you can put in between the tibial tuberosity and the middle border of the tibia. But if you are planning for ACL with the root avulsion, then you have to plan accordingly, whether you are dealing with a medial meniscus root here or lateral meniscus root here. So if it's a medial meniscus root here, your medial meniscus root tunnel should be over the medial border, and ACL tunnel should be just medial to the tibial tuberosity. If you are dealing with a lateral meniscus root here, your root tunnel should be done medial to the tuberosity, ACL should be more medial. So that there is no collision of tunnel. So isolated ACL you can put it, wider area you can put it anywhere in between tibial tuberosity and medial.
Yeah, that is precisely the reason why we have not actually fixed any outside landmark, because we need to change with your root how many tunnels you are actually doing. Yeah.
What is more important, your passing where your beat pin comes out in the articular part, because graft healing is at aperture. That is important. So that part is more important.
One more point to be clarified. What is the common mistake which the beginners make where the tibial tunnel becomes too anterior? And it's too anterior that the tunnel is almost outside. So what's the common mistake is the beginners usually make?
See, first your beat pin, normally for femur you try to put over the tip of the velvet or the posterior part. For tibia make it half, so that there is no it should be rigid enough. If you have a flexible beat pin, there will be 1 or 2 millimeter of misfiring that will be there. Again, try to be parallel to your bullet. Sometimes if you are trying, what happens when your assistant, your fellow is drilling it, he try to pull the drill up or down. It should be parallel, it should be straight enough. And second, after doing 100 or 200 ACL, those jigs are going to fail. So try to ask your company person to change the jig also.
Yes. And also the sleeve, make it in my point that sleeve should be touching the cortex of the bone. Many times the sleeves are 1 to 2 millimeters away from the cortex, and there are the conditions where the tunnel will not be in a proper position.
And also in the last, when your beat pin is inside the joint, always check with the extension of your knee whether it is going into the intercondylar area or not. If it is averting over the cartilage part, anterior distal part of the femur, it means your tibial tunnel is too anterior.
Thank you, sir. Excellent talk and very good visual demonstration. So now Dr. Gurudev will be talking on femoral tunnel of ACL landmark and discussion. Yes, please.
Good morning, everybody. Respected chairperson. My topic is location of femoral tunnel placement during ACL reconstruction. So there is debate continue over the location of this femoral tunnel, whether you are going to do transtibial or the transporter technique. Because the results show that at the end of years, the functional outcome is the same. But still the literature says that when we are doing the femoral ACL reconstruction anatomically, there is better rotational stability along with the reduce of the osteoarthritis of the knee joint later on. So this is a good paper from the Boacon, USA, knee surgery sports medicine. There is non-anatomical tunnel position increases the risk of revision and anterior posterior ligament reconstruction in 33% of cases. The another paper, Journal of Knee Surgery, there is a femoral tunnel malposition in ACL revision reconstruction cases. Out of 460 revision included in that study, there is 60% cases cited a specific technical cause of failure. So the femoral tunnel malposition was cited in 47.6%, and the femoral tunnel malposition was cited as the only cause of failure in 25% cases of post-ACL reconstruction surgery. So we do here and discuss the transporter technique like anatomical for the ACL reconstruction. So coming to the anatomy of the ACL attachment on the femur, original studies show that there is an ACL attached in the narrow oval area in the lateral femoral condyle. But the recent studies describe the wide area on the lateral femoral condyle. So the anatomy of the ACL on the lateral femoral condyle, the femoral origin of ACL below the lateral intercondylar ridge. The line is lying passing through the posterior aspect of the shaft of the femur and bisecting the condyle. So the ACL is behind that intercondylar ridge, on the front. The lateral bilateral ridge separate the two bundles, the AM bundle which occupy the proximal portion of the medial wall of the lateral femoral condyle, and the PL bundle occupies most distal portion near the articular cartilage surface of the lateral femoral condyle. And this is the picture. This picture shows the ACL attachment. You can see this picture. The ACL is fan out from tibia to the femur, and the entire ACL is located behind the lateral intercondylar ridge. And the size and dimension of the ACL is just increased 3 to 3.4 times larger than the mid substance area of the ACL. There are various shapes of the femoral footprint attachment on the lateral femoral condyle. It is circular, elliptical, kidney shape, segment of circle, segment of ellipse, trapezoidal, oval, triangular, and various shapes described in the literature. There is a large variation in the size of the ACL insertion as we have seen in the previous slide, and the AM and PL bundle. But there is no correlation between the size of the insertion and height, weight, body mass index of the individual patients. There are so many landmarks which can help intraoperative during the ACL reconstruction. The number one is the native ACL footprint, the residual fiber which is attached on the lateral femoral condyle. The lateral intercondylar and bifurcated ridge we have seen in the previous slide. ACL ruler method and intraoperative fluoroscopy, the Creed method. So the remnant of the ACL, the region behind what preserving that ACL stump is helps to guide for tunnel placement during the ACL reconstruction. It increases mechanical strength in the early post-operative period, preservation of the blood supply which may aid in healing process of the graft and maintenance of the proprioception. The another method, the ACL ruler method, place the knee in 110 to 115 degree. The length of ACL femoral attachment site is measured along the long axis of the lateral femoral condyle. The ACL ruler is inserted with the help of microfracture. Suppose here the length of this lateral femoral condyle is 16 centimeters, so so the 50%, that is the 8 mm is the landmark for the femoral tunnel creation. The another method is the vertical grid method, that is the fluoroscopic method. Measure the pulmonary length of the lateral femoral condyle and height of the intercondylar ridge. The ACL attachment site is located at 27% of the pulmonary line and 34% of the height of the intercondylar arch. The same picture with the help of fluoroscopy can identify here the location of the ACL attachment on the lateral femoral condyle. This is the video presentation of the same the ACL attachment on the lateral femoral condyle. We do this surgery something different with the patient lies supine on the operating table and the blade is hanging on the side of the table. Put the pneumatic tourniquet 8 finger above from the upper border of the patella and put the lateral post just at the side of this tourniquet, and on the table before proceeding the procedure, check the range of movement, whether you are going to full flex the knee or not. And make the extender anterolateral portal and the medial portal with the help of needle to check the trajectory where you are hitting the accurate site for the ACL attachment on the lateral femoral condyle or not. Usually our medial portal is little bit more medial and inferior to the lateral extender portal. And this is the case of the femoral detachment of the ACL. So putting the scope in the knee joint to the lateral extender portal, remove the debris of the rest of the fiber with the help of punch, radio frequency saver. We usually don't use the radio frequency, but sometimes we use this radio frequency. We try to remove all the debris, soft tissue from the lateral femoral condyle and make it very crystal clear the lateral femoral condyle for the ACL reconstruction. And then remove all this debris with the help of saver. Then put the scope in the anteromedial portal and see this all the visible landmark on the lateral femoral condyle. Then we introduce, insert the K wire 2.5 mm or big pin 2.7 mm through this anteromedial portal and check whether you are going to hit the articular cartilage damaging or not. Sometimes it is hitting, then you have to change your direction, and with the eyeball technique, locate your proper site on the lateral femoral condyle. Sometimes we use this offsets and pass the guide wire. Then on the lateral side, we check whether the guide wire is coming out to prevent the injury of the common nerve by flexing this knee. Then pass this 4.5 mm drill bit, and we just by regular doing, we are not doing depth gauge nowadays, so we have some idea. So here it is almost, it is going to start at 35, that means the length is 35 to 40 mm. Now pass this clever tip reamer for the proper drilling on the lateral femoral condyle, where we have used the adjustable loop. So we are going to drill it around 22 mm on the lateral femoral condyle, then remove this, then remove all these debris. You see our femoral socket with the intact posterior wall, and there is tunnel within tunnel. In the socket it is visible. Then pass the peak pin, loop thread, and pass the graft and do the reconstruction. So all the time here we are inserting the guide wire or the drill bit. We have to see under the scope whether we are going to hit the articular cartilage or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gurudev. Any questions from me? I think for beginners it is always better to use the offset rather than use the eye possible. Just for the beginners.
No, for the beginner it is better to use this offset, but nowadays we are just doing it with the free-handed.
Ma'am, only thing, this removal of all the remnant from the lateral femoral condyle. This ACL footprint help you in identifying the exact location of your ACL over the lateral femoral condyle. So now a surgeon shifted toward the ligament preservation. So in this way, that help you also identifying the landmark also. So always, what I do most of the time, almost in 80 cases, I don't take out anything from the lateral femoral condyle, because I think it's not the debris, it's the part of human knee that was with the knee for a very long time of that person. So just I put in either this microfracture hole or with the help of Boacon, just identifying the center of that ACL footprint over the lateral femoral condyle and just drilling that. But definitely for beginners, it's always good to take out everything, look where you are making the drill, and then going after.
Regarding the
I would like to add one point in the set. Very good point. The thing is, estimating the footprint, the basic concept is trying to preserve the proprioceptors. Okay. For receptor model, which helps in the proprioception. So you have got on both the sides, on the tibial side also as well as the femoral side. I described the amount of receptors which are present on the tibial side is more than on the femoral side. Secondly, the possibilities of creating chances of failure, that is more on the femoral side. The femoral turn placement is more chance of getting it wrong. So if you are able to better visualize the bony aspect, so you have less chances of making a mistake. So
our concept to make it so clear, because we are going, as you have said, mostly the proprioception and the blood supply and particularly the character which is coming from the previous ACL to the newly constructed ACL is from the tibial side, not from the femoral side. But still the stump remaining there helps for the proper identification for the ACL attachment. But we are going to reconstruct, we are not going to repair. So our motto is, we are not going to keep anything in the internal condyle, we do everything and do the best reconstruction. We don't have any competition till now.
one more point over here for the Boacon. How many times, how often do you use the anterolateral motor for visualization by connecting the femoral tunnel? Do we always use the anterolateral motor as a visualization for the creation of the femoral tunnel, or many times you shift the scope into the anterolateral portal and create an accessory anterolateral portal so that you can have a better femoral tunnel insertion placement?
Previously in my career, I am always making two portals on the medial side. One is a standard enteromedial portal and another is accessory enteromedial portal or central portal. But nowadays I have shifted only two portals, another one is the enterolateral and another is the enteromedial, which is a little bit more medial and inferior. But we are not using the putting the scope in the enteromedial side to make the portal. But we pass the guide wire with the help of an standard enterolateral portal, and after passing this guide wire, we can see from the medial side whether it will take place or not.
I think what Manish was telling, if you want to visualize the drilling of the femoral tunnel, the central portal is more important. Sometimes people try to put the scope on the central portal and then they drill it to the endocrine. And visualization of the through the middle portal is more important to see the impact of how is the wall. I think Gurudev in one of the views showed the whole of the wall, 360 of the wall was intact. That is through endomedial portal only you can have good
That
visualization.
is actually we have to do well with that anatomy portal.
Everybody doesn't do it, but he saw the.
Only tips for making this femoral tunnel. Always save all the fat that is coming in front of your scope, because as you hypertense after 90 degree, all the fat will come in front of your scope. So remove that fat when you are using especially enteromedial portal with hyperglycemia.
So in the you are understanding, what are your take on use of flexible rivers of femoral tunnel and what are the advantages of them?
It looks very nice. It gives you a feeling that you are a bigger surgeon, but I think you can always do the normal rigid ribbon. We all are used to it. But yeah, if you want, if you have the luxury of using it, there is nothing like it. But the expense is more, and there are chances that if you are using it too long a time, the chance of breakage also is very high. So if it breaks in the tunnel, then it's a hell of a situation to retrieve.
Thank you, Gurudev. Excellent talk.
So it's a nice situation to give lecture with a cup of tea. So it's the first time probably I'm giving lecture with a cup of tea. So I think thank you behalf of the Medical Association, President Secretary, and the organizing committee of entire BOA gone to the 22, and of course Rasmin for giving me the opportunity. And it goes without saying that why I have been chosen to give this talk that the associated missed this lesson, because probably I am the most experienced in missing the lessons probably in part. So that's why he has given me this opportunity to miss lessons.
Maybe you are most experienced to taking the missed lesson.
Okay. I think it just the missed lesson does happen to everybody. So it's not just to me, not just to anybody in the world. Everybody must have missed some of these lessons in his lifetime career, so that can happen to anybody. And why we tend to miss it probably is the expertise. When you are once you are junior, then you are expected to miss a little more things. So we are here to tell you what exactly things which you can miss, which are usually present in with the ACL. And I think one of the other things which is most important is what the mind doesn't know, eyes cannot see. So if you don't know about the situations which might be there along the ACLs, you will probably miss it more often than not. So what you need to do is you need to learn things which might be there with the ACLs, or for that matter any other surgery. But what are the commonly associated reasons? You need to look for those reasons. And once you started looking for those reasons, you will probably not be invited to give this lecture. So commonly missed lessons which are usually present in the ACLs, which I can think of. I didn't do a lot of literature survey, but I can think of is probably under the steer, the meniscus steer. I have seen that it's quite often missed, which have not picked in the MRI as well. Ramp design, which has happened, is a very nicely shown the video how to repair the lumps, but you need to pick up the ramp design before repairing it. The flat tears, which sometimes which are not displaced, is very difficult to pick in tight knees. And the cartilage recent body is not that common with the ACL, but it may sometimes be there, so you need to be aware of those situations as well. So I think this paper which I thought was there in the arthroscopy journal, which is meniscus tear meets on the MRI, and which are there on the ACL, it shows that if the ACL ligament is detected, special attention should be given to the subtle peripheral tear that may be present either on meniscus, mostly the posterior horn of lateral meniscus. These tears are especially difficult to detect on the MRI, but that might be there in the ACL with the ACL tear as well. So I think if you look into the meniscus tear, this is I think I'll show you the ramp lesions here, and this is your scope is in the posteromedial corner from the anteromedial portal, just by the side of the medial femoral condyle and the PCL, and your needle is coming from the posteromedial portal, and you can see with the needle you can dissect the synovial tissue, and once you dissect the synovial tissue, you will be able to appreciate the ramp design. Very nicely you can see the meniscus appears to be detached with the meniscofemoral ligament or meniscotibial ligament, capsular part of it. So this is very important because if this is there, then the chances of your ACL failure is very high because the meniscus into the entrap and create some abnormal movement in the knee in after reconstructing the ACL. So this needs to be reconstructed, and this ramp design is very important. This is probably another video where you can see that the opposite side knee, the ramp design is being repaired. Arvind has already nicely shown how to repair the ramp design. It's similar manner. The only thing which I would say is probably take that bite differently for the meniscus as well as for the capsule, because sometimes if you are not very experienced, you will not be able to take the bite from the capsule as well as the meniscus simultaneously. And as he already showed that if it's the old design, you need to rasp it to prepare it very nicely so that the healing occurs, which is probably the most important thing which you want to achieve. Okay. So see the bites are taken separately, one with the knee scorpion, one is with the lasso on the posterior part of the meniscus. Then you can tie those both the knots together to achieve a nice, nice repair, which probably will heal. So you need to put one or two these sort of sutures for the ramp lesions to heal. So this is another meniscus where you can see that the middle meniscus root is torn, and you can see the roots are supposed to be healed nicely there. So this is torn, which is, if you don't know the condition, the root or tear may be there with the ACL, you tend to miss this root tears quite often. And I would like to just show that how you need to prepare this root. If you take one or two bites, I think the two is better than the one. If the meniscus quality is good, you have a very nice root, then you probably take one single bite with the suture as well. But if the root is very flimsy, it's an older root tear, then probably you can take two bites with it, and then you can drill one channel, and then you need to curate out the cartilage out there, create a nice bed for the meniscus to heal, and then you can pull out and repair. The meniscus root, if you don't give a very nice environment to heal, it will not easily heal. It heals very poorly. So this is how it looks. As you can see here, the meniscus has been pulled very nicely into the theater, and you need to keep these knees reserved for around 4 to 6 weeks of non-wear for these areas to heal. And this is another case, I think, where the ACL repair reconstruction as well as the meniscus root repair was done, but patient usually kept on having symptoms of meniscus. So I think, as you can see here, that the ACL looks very nicely healed. I think this is around 6 months down the line. ACL graft looks very nicely healed. The capillaries are also very nicely seen on the meniscus graft. But this is the unedited video. I'll just show you that after visualization of the root, as you can see here, I think still is not there, and the root has not healed in that patient. So I had to redo this patient, and you can see, as you can appreciate, the root is still off the ear filter. So this is probably the thing why people need to worry about the root repair, because they heal very poorly. So you need to have the very robust fixation of the root for the root to heal. So you need to, I need to revise this meniscus root repair in the second sitting. So this is one thing which we don't want to miss, and even if you detect it, you need to be very vigilant the root to have a very nice robust fixation of the root. And this is another thing, flap tear, where you probably if it is very anterior in the lateral meniscus, which we were discussing, then probably you can miss it, because once you go into the anterolateral portal, then you probably concentrate more on the posterior part, posteromedial, posterolateral corner and everything. The anterior part of the flap sometimes may be missed, and if it is there, then you go with and comes out to the joint, then it becomes visible very nicely. And removing it is not a big deal, but probably detecting it is more important than not. So you need to be a little vigilant about this flap tears, particularly there on the anterior part, where you do not tend to look too much about it. So I think what exactly is the problem? I think one of the biggest problem with these meniscus lesions and ramp lesions is that it's very difficult to visualize those areas. So I think the tight knee is there, always there. I mean, but even if the ACL is torn, then if the ACL is intact, then it's very difficult to visualize the posteromedial corner of the knee. That is probably one of the most vital things which you usually tend to miss on the diagnostic arthroscopy round. So you need to increase the working space, and how you need to increase your working space is the MCL pie. These are the two pictures before and after the MCL pie. As you can see, you cannot see the evidence posterior part. But this is after the pie. There is a lot of space. You can take your scope down there, you can take your saber down there, you can take your probe down there. So now you need to do the MCL pie casting as this. As you can see, the posterior corner, and with the needle eye, you can keep on pie casting this, and then gradually, once you see that the space will gradually increase. So this is almost an established procedure nowadays. You will see the space on the posteromedial corner. Once you do this, you have a lot of space to work around, and there is usually the patient keeps on suffering of little pain of posteromedial corner, but it usually goes away in 2 to 3 months, and the patient has no residual laxity of the MCL. So this is one very good thing which you need to do to prevent all these missing lesions on the posteromedial corner particularly. So other things which are probably not, because already told me that you need to focus mainly on the intraarticular pathologies which you tend to miss with the ACL. So, but I think the other thing which you need to know is the posterior corner injury. If it is there with the ACL, your chances of ACL failure is high, and the increased posterior tibial slope, if it is there, the failure ACL failure is also high. So, but there is not very much consensus whether to address that tibial slope primarily or not. Majority of the prior surgeons usually do not address the posterior tibial slope with the primary specific benefit is increased. So I think these are two other things which you need to keep in mind before doing an essay. So my take-home message is don't compromise with the working space. Whenever you find that you cannot see anything, you need to do pie casting. You need to ask your assistant to increase the varus or valgus thrust to increase the space. Do it. You see the entire thing in your eye, and then only you believe that probably there is no. Don't believe on the probe only that with the probe you cannot pull it, then probably shape is not there. And the other thing which I already said, what mind doesn't know, eyes cannot see. So you need to know the things which are important for you to know before doing gap surgery. So that's also very important in improve your knowledge. And you always remember that you are the best surgeon in the world. Even if you have missed one medical injury, that doesn't mean that you are not good enough to do the surgery. Everybody misses it, but what is more important is to reduce the incidences. That's it. Thank you.
Nice job on this, Sudha, and these are the reasons we have this in our real practice also. Any question from audience? The hidden lesion in the knee. So you are diagnosed with the patient with AC and you are ready with your lesion reconstruction.
Everything that goes in front of you.
So Sunita, for middle compartment, it was a very nice technique of pie casting. So where you perform the pie casting, at the tibial side, joint line, or a femoral side?
Yeah, initially I used to do it on the femoral side, then I read somebody told me to do it on the joint level, and I read about it, and then I read about that all the three sides are mentioned in the literature. I mean, the femoral side, the intraarticular part, the middle part, or the tibial side. But what I do is I usually used to repair the meniscus with a Scorpio and white. So I need the inferior part of the meniscus to go up. Because it's the inferior part where the bite, taking the bite was most difficult part. So I usually am habituated doing on the tibial side. If you do the pie casting on the tibial side, the inferior part of the meniscus will go up. Meniscotibial ligament will increase. So that gives me a little more space to work on. So that's why I do it in the maybe on the tibial side, upper part of the tibia. But you can do it in any place. Majority of the people probably now do it in the triangular side.
And what happens, because sometimes we don't get very fresh in the routine practice. So medial ramp lesion, sometimes it's very difficult to, if you put your scope in the posterior compartment, there are some amount of fibrosis in there. So any trick by which you can see, as you can arthroscopically you can say that these are the
that's the biggest controversy, whether that ramp was there or you have created it.
Yeah.
Sit with from 30 degree to 70 degree scope.
Yeah.
Your beam will be almost, you are looking at that.
middle I think is a good idea. Just that drilling it, and if you see a nicely rolled over edge of that mesocapsular junction, then probably lamp was there. With the needle you cannot create a rolled over edge, and with the saber it's very difficult.
So post-operative compartment was not a routine part of our diagnostic. I think now after the discovery of this rat lesion, it has become a routine part of our diagnostic roundup. And what about lateral compartments? Sometimes we have very tight lateral compartments. How do you address the lateral tightness?
I have not done any practice on the lateral side. I don't know whether we have.
So usually python still not needed on the lateral side, most of the time it's open, almost 90% of the cases. But there are some cases you find this lateral meniscus is torn, you have to repair, but it is tight. Or you are not going through lateral. In that case, you can do that python. Only thing python still on the medial side. Do you have any incidents of MCL? You are just doing python and doing the valgus stress also. Have you feel that this little bit of this tearing is okay? But have you felt that it's completely torn or something like that?
Not really. I think that completely torn. I haven't had the opportunity. Will probably have some days in my career.
So many times what happens, you are doing python and you are doing inside out repair of your meniscus, and when you are dissecting on the medial side for tying the suture, then chances of MCL injury become high because already you have did the python part, and also you are dissecting it for putting the. I have one incident of that. This inside out repair, almost 7 stitches also on the medial side, and for doing that I have already done that fantastic thing. So almost almost completely torn with little bit of posterior fiber was intact.
Yeah, I think I don't know whether you went there in PTC this time. The osteotomy group used to elevate the entire MCL. They said that it's the POA which is more important than the MCL.
Yeah, definitely.
MCL completely, but it will not until you cut your POA. So posteromedial corner is probably most important. Don't go into the posteromedial corner. You can just anterior to it. You can use as much as python.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. For STO is totally different. You have to release superficial part. Only that way you can decompress the joint. Because MCL length is same. You are cutting the tibia, elevating that. So this distance is getting increased. Until unless you are not releasing the superficial one, you will not decompressing the joint. You will in fact other way you will load the joint. But what I am saying, the middle part of your MCL is sometimes at rest with this.
I think the only one condition usually causes when we are doing bypassing is genuine knee. When you are valgus knee, in those cases, if you are doing bypassing, also try to put them on knee brace. Because these are the cases who are at high risk of MCL rupture, genuine.
Yeah, similarly that case I kept the patient with knee range of about 6 months.
Keep them on knee brace most of the time it will heal because you have done close bypass.
So regarding the space on the lateral side, which you were talking about, whether the technique of doing a pie cluster on the lateral side, whenever you're placing the limb in the figure of throw position and you're pressing the knee down, it automatically creates a very good amount of space on that side. So I don't think there's a need of doing a pie cluster on that side.
But you will find cases where it's very difficult to reach there. You will find them.
Sometimes it is athletes of football has very tight lateral compartment. But I think bypassing is never comfortable. You don't know the anatomical landmark. Your CPN does is very close.
Just yesterday I did one case at the having very tight lateral compartment. Patient was having almost radial tear. I had to work there and it was very tight.
With cup of tea, you have a lot of questions. So next we have Dr. Rita Mukhopadhyay from Gurgaon. He will be talking about revision aesthetic construction different ways.
So thank you BOA and Dr. Arvind for having me give this talk. So over the last couple of lectures we've already learned how to best do our primary ACLs to decrease the chances of having to do a revision. But yet, as the number of primary ACLs increase every day, so would the number of revisions that we would have to do in the coming future. There have been several studies, and the more the number of revisions that you have to do or need to do, the more are the chances of failure. So it's not as if you do a revision, your revision would not fail. Even if you do the best that you did not in the primary case, you may still be at a risk of another failure. So it is best to decrease the number of failures that you have. So when it comes to the reasons for a failure of a ACL reconstruction, the most important is the tunnel placement. After you have learned to put the tunnels right, the next important causes are the associated injuries which are missed, be it the ligament injuries or the associated meniscus injury. One thing which is missed by a lot of new surgeons, just because they don't want to go into the complications of it, is the osseous malalignment. I don't think a lot of new or fresh surgeons look into the valgus alignment or even the tibial slope. And recurrent trauma is obviously a cause of need for failure, which is obviously not in your hand. So tunnel placement, we have learned how to do the best, be it the tibial tunnel or the femoral tunnel. We have already gone through the ideal placement for the femoral tunnel and the tibial tunnel. I think most of us have learned to put the tibial tunnel in the best place. We still sometimes go wrong in the femoral tunnel, which is a little more tricky, especially if you are not doing it on a regular basis. But then you can obviously go back and go to the osseous landmarks and discuss on the radiographs how to put your femoral and tibial tunnels best. So I personally do the revisions in an all-inside fashion that allows me to make outside tunnels away from the old tunnels, minimal of tunnels overlapping. That also allows me to save maximum bone that is left in that particular patient and allow cortical fixation in these patients who may have a previously placed screw which may come in your path. Next question is whether to do a single or a two-stage revision. Now, in most cases, you would not need to do a two-stage revision. Your old tunnels would either be completely wrong, so you do not have to worry about tunnel coalition, or it may just be partially, or it may be just in the place so that you can probably remove that area, and probably a bigger size of graft would compensate for the mild amount of tunnel dilatation and having more fresh bone. So like in this case, there were SS screws put when this patient was operated, and when I revised using all-inside technique, the old tunnels never came in my path. I had two fresh tunnels and a well-fixed graft. So obviously, first stage revision, the tunnel is in a great spot, no significant dilatation, you can remove that area again, or it is absolutely off the way. So these are places where you can do a single stage revision, or you can, and most cases I would do all inside with a cortical fixation. You may augment it with a screw and a dual fixation, but I have never felt the need to do a dual fixation. In the images you can see the old tunnel was wide away, and this was the place of the old tunnel, and this is where my ideal new tunnel is, which is away with a nice cortical bony bridge with no tunnel coalition. Two-stage revision is required when you need to consider for a bone graft. This is required when the tunnel dilatation is more than 14 mm. I don't think mp4 can manage a graft more than 14 mm. Neither it is ideal for the kind of needs that we have. So this is where I would graft the tunnel, wait for the graft to heal, and then do a second stage ACL reconstruction. The outcomes do not show significant difference. Coming to the graft choice, you always have the contralateral hamstrings which you could choose. You can go back down to the peroneal or quadriceps and the bone patella. I personally would choose the contralateral hamstrings as my first choice. Second would be the quadriceps, and third would be the peroneus longus. Reason I do not prefer the peroneus longus so much is there is not enough evidence in the long-term outcomes that the peroneus longus graft would have on the biomechanics of the foot and ankle. That is the only reason I avoid peroneus longus. So I would ideally take the contralateral hamstrings, and second choice would be the quadriceps. So the reasons why we have failures, and let's not talk about the obvious re-injury or the neuromuscular incoordination. Those are obvious causes. Let's talk about reasons that we can address and correct. Ligamentous pathology which you have missed. Don't miss on PLCs. Don't miss out the middle collateral ligaments. A missed posterolateral corner and a missed MCL is bound to increase the number of failures that we have. Anterolateral ligament is again a very controversial topic. I do not usually do it in primary cases. Even in revisions, I am very critical when to do it, because in my personal experience, the athletes are more affected by the little more tightness that this ligament would give to the knee from the little bit of instability that might remain from not doing a ALL. The athletes need a more flexible joint than a more tight joint. But definitely patients who have a high grade pivot, you can consider the ALL in the revision case if such a patient comes to you. So this is a very high grade pivot. I did an ALL, and patient is relatively happy at almost a year and a half from the revision. How we do it is probably not a domain here to discuss. We can obviously discuss this over other lectures, but primarily the LET or lateral extraarticular tenodesis is the most commonly performed way of doing it. Then coming to the osseous malalignment, this was a young female, little heavy in build, and she had bilateral valgus with ACL injury on the left side. So even in the primary stage, I decided to correct the valgus malalignment and do a primary revision, primary ACL reconstruction. If we leave out the valgus alignment, then valgus alignment is known to increase the chances of ACL injuries. You should always look into it. If you have missed it in the primary case, then in revision, do definitely correct the alignment. You could do a distal femoral osteotomy or a high tibial closing wedge kind of osteotomy. I specifically did a HTO closing wedge in this patient. She's almost 6 months from the surgery now, and she's come back for the correction of the opposite side now, which I'm planning to do a distal femoral correction osteotomy. There is no ACL injury on the right side yet. So next point is the tibial slope. We should definitely look into correcting the tibial slope, especially when we are looking into revision cases. Tibial slope, ideally, whenever you are more than 12, I would definitely try and bring it down to somewhere around 6 and 7. 7 I would prefer as the ideal. And increased tibial slope has been found to be a very important cause of failures. Do not miss out on these cases. Measure your tibial slope in a perfectly lateral view of the tibia. The femur doesn't matter, but make sure that the tibia or the leg is giving you a perfect lateral view to be able to measure the tibial slope. So I think these are a couple of studies on the posterior tibial slope which show that the increased angles are an increased risk for ACL injuries, and re-rupture rates are also high. You could correct this tibial slope along with correcting your valgus or varus alignment using a HTO wedge plate which have degree variable wedges anteriorly and posteriorly, or you could do them separately. When do I consider? I think we already discussed this, especially when you are looking into a revision case, tibial slope more than 12 to 13 degree, and you need to correct the slope to decrease and make your graft tighter. Meniscal function, we have already discussed how the missed meniscal injuries can also become a cause of ACL failure. Meniscal injury is not only a cause for future arthritis of the knee, but it also increases the risk of ACL graft failure because the meniscus do act as secondary stabilizers of the knee. The outcomes show that definitely with subsequent surgery, the outcomes keep on becoming poorer and poorer. The more the number of surgeries, the more is the chance of having failures. And also, every time you do a revision, you are losing out on a choice of graft. In India, we are not yet very commonly using allografts. So make sure when you operate, you are giving the best to the patient so that he or she doesn't have to come back for a revision. Because after 4 or 5 times, you may not have anything left to reconstruct the ACL with. So these are a few studies which show that the revision ACL repair has a failure rate of almost 13%, whereas the primary ACL has only a 3% failure rate. And the failure rate definitely affects not only the overall outcome of the knee, but also the if you are operating on an athlete, the career of the athlete is also at stake. Return to sports after revision ACL. After primary ACL, this was a study which showed an 82% return to any sport with 63% return to primary level of play, whereas after revision the percentage was lesser compared to that after primary ACL. For obvious reasons, with every revision, not only the associated changes, biomechanical changes happen in the knee, but the confidence also goes down of the athlete. So a revision surgery is a lot to swallow, not only for the patient, obviously for the patient, and a lot for the surgeon himself. If you were the primary surgeon as well, if it's somebody else's case, you may boast about it that I do it perfectly this time, but if it's your patient who's come back with a failure, you may have a lot to think over, ponder on what went wrong in the first place, and do the best that you could do for this patient in the second attempt. A modification of the lifestyle and a good rehabilitation protocol would definitely help. But the high-end athletes would often not want to modify their lifestyle, so probably it is you who has to do the best and work on to give the graft or the ACL that would not fail this time. So for a successful ACL revision as well, obviously the anatomy of the tunnels is very crucial. That is the first thing. Second is the kind of graft that you use. Don't miss out on other ligament injuries. Make sure that your osseous alignment has been addressed, and do counsel the patient on the kind of prognosis and the return to sports that they should expect. So thank you for your attention, and I think with increasing experience, the number of failures would also decrease.
Thank you, Dr. Rita. You very well pointed out the reasons for the failure. Any questions from the audience?
Nice talking. So, for planning, what is more important, the CT scan or CT, MRI, and alignment view? So, you want all the three.
So, I would definitely get, if I'm clinically sure of an ACL graft injury, for my personal use, I would probably not get an MRI unless it is for the insurances that I am sure, but I definitely get an alignment view and a CT done to look at the tunnels.
How do you plan your tibial tunnel and if you build tunnel and you are planning for a reconstruction in one stage?
So if, as I said, if the femoral tunnel is way away, then obviously I can go in and make an anatomical femoral tunnel with very little struggle there. On the tibial side, there is higher chances of having either a nicely made tunnel or tunnel coalition. But if I can manage to have a bigger size graft compared to the tibial tunnel, then I think over the same tunnel I can have a fresh bone stock, bone exposed, and use the same tunnel as well. And since I'm doing all inside, so I don't have to worry about the placement of the screw and the hold of the screw, because I'm looking at a cortical fixation with a different angle.
What about the difference between two stage when you are planning for a two-stage procedure? So what is the time limit between two stages?
I would give, I think 3 to 5 months to allow the graft to incorporate well. I will follow that up with a CT scan to see if the graft has been incorporated. And only once it has been incorporated well, I will plan for the second stage.
So, regarding you said MRI is not so important as the alignment and CT. But if you see the failed ACL, and very high chances of meniscal injury or cartilage. So that will better evaluated with the MRI.
I don't rely on MRIs too much for the menisci. I would rather go in and scope the joint at the corner of it to rule out or diagnose a meniscal.
Yeah, definitely. That is
Especially with the revision case, there are too many artifacts, especially if you have old metallic implants inside, and more than not, the MRI usually fails to pick up the menisci there.
And about this corrective osteoporosis, it's always easy to correct the coronal alignment.
Yes.
That is, you want to do the varus for the varus or
It is slope.
in the slope. So what is your tips for correcting the slope?
So as I said, have your proper lateral view of the leg, measure your slope, and while correcting the slope, you could either use the same HQ plate which has wedges or variation in the size from the anterior and posterior. You could use that to change the slope of the tibia. Or what you could do is you could just, if you are not having any varus valgus malalignment, only the slope, you could do a supra-TB anteroposterior osteotomy, take the wedge out and decrease or increase the slope and fix it with simple staples.
So in revision mostly it's the varus knee with the ACL resistance. So you do valgus osteotomy with slope correction. But correcting the slope is almost, I'll say it's very difficult. So first thing you have to complete release of the MCL from the tibia and also ensure that your posterior cut is complete till the lateral contact. If anything intact posteriorly, if it's the medial half is cut and lateral half is intact, then again it's become very difficult.
So the osteotomy has to be a little more deeper compared to normal.
It's complete till the lateral half. And your lamina aspirata always should in the posterior cortex of the tibia.
Yes.
It should not be in the middle, it should not be in the anterior half. That should be very important. And also in the last, your plate should be in the posterior half of the tibia. Because many a time intra-op you have corrected the slope, but if your plate is on anterior half, since the hinge of the osteotomy is this posterior part is open. But literally there is no support on the posterior part. If plate is in the anterior half, the chances of future collapse is high. So always try to keep your osteotomy plate in the posterior half of the tibia. Thank you.
There are a lot of revision cases, sir. So how many revision you have to done in the primary or you have to put for the secondary stage? Means like primary only you have done the revision or
One stage and two stage. How many one stage? How many?
One stage and two stage.
I have personally done only one two-stage till now because most of the cases I have managed to have a good placement of the femoral vertebral tunnel. Only one case I remember where the graft tunnel was almost 15. So I grafted it, waited for 6 months, allowed it to heal and then until the second stage.
if we go for the second stage, in between the grafts, or we will ask for some modification of lifestyle or something like that?
I would continue with the rehab protocol, which is prehab or rehab, whichever you, and definitely explain to the patient the lifestyle modification in terms of avoiding pivoting activities to prevent further injuries, avoid their sports to prevent any further injuries, and you may or may not brace the patient during that 6 months, depending upon your
Any braces or something to put?
See, if the knee is unstable, significantly high-grade pivot, you may want to put the patient in a brace for the safety of the patient more than anything else. But otherwise, if it's not a very high-grade pivot and the patient as such is not into athletics or dancing, etc., has more of a sedentary lifestyle, you may do away with the brace during the intervening period.
No modification only. what graph you will use for the, if you go to the stage, the first stage, what graph you will use?
So my graph choices sequence remain the same. I usually choose the quadrilateral happening as my first choice, next is vertical, and third is transverse.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is your, cutoff for your tunnel diameter where you see that you will do a two-stage or one-stage? Is it different for the femur and tibia or it's a more different?
So the graph, I think in the Indian scenario, the maximum that we can get is around 10 millimeters. Although the literature does say that you can do a single stage in tunnels with less than 30 millimeters, I personally, anywhere more than 10 millimeters, I am a little concerned whether I should do a single stage, double stage. But as long as I can manage an 11 millimeter graph, I would go ahead and do a single stage, and the tunnel is smaller. But anything bigger than that, I would wait. Tunnel, graph the tunnel and do the second time.
Yeah, I think why I asked you actually is when femur majority of us are actually using it as a suspensory device. So if you have graph tunnel diameter is around 10, 11 there and your graph is 9, then it is not going to aid. Either you use a further precision in revision situation for doing it on primary revision, or if you are using going to use a suspensory one, then don't do it in a two stage. For 11 millimeter graph, we hardly get a 11 millimeter graph in our
in Indian scenario, the literature doesn't exactly correlate, but so my criteria is not the literature, but the kind of graph that I can get.
True. And how do you get, you always keep on trying and trying, I heard that perfect lateral view of your tibia, femur doesn't matter. What are the criteria in your X-ray by which you judge that it's a perfect lateral view of your tibia?
So if it's a perfect lateral view, you will have your the flatter, the medial tibial condyle and the lateral tibial condyle. You will see a good overlap with, and the fibula just appears posterior with the flange overlapping with the plateau of the tibia. If it's an external rotation view, the fibula is more exposed and you can actually make out the tibial joint. If it's an internal rotation view, the fibula is more behind the tibia. A lateral perfect is just the flange tip which is behind the tibia. The rest of the fibula is posterior.
Okay. Now there is no guideline like the view that overlapping one side overlapping is
I am not aware of. It's mostly the alignment of the tibial plateau.
I keep on insisting on the very nice view of the femoral condyle. Then I really used to believe that the tibia is in the lateral view. But in that the femur doesn't matter.
So because we are trying to measure the tibial slope.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
because I have most of my radiographers in attempt to overlap the femoral condyles, they miss out on the tibial side. So I tell them tibia ठीक से करो, so that at least the tibial slope can be managed.
ठीक है,
One-third overlap of the fibula.
that was in the that is guidance for the AP. There is no guidance for the.
In the literature, there is nothing which says this is a perfect lateral.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir, for excellent talk. Now we will end this session. Yes, over to Sadhguru.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for a wonderful session. So now I request Sri to lecture ready. So first Dr. Manish Kumar. I request Dr. Abhinav sir to lecture from Manish Kumar. Dr. Arvind Prasad Gupta. So sir. Sanjay Kumar. Dr. Sunil Thackeray. Dr. Rita Devi, Mukhopadhyay, please. I request our board director to present the chairperson. Dr. Will, please. Dr. Raman, sir. I request Rakesh Chaudhary sir to present Dr. Kamal Sanani, sir. I request for a group protocol of faculty chairperson, please come on this side. After that, the regular session. First, the faculty, please. Request for the regular session.
Everyone requested to go to point.
Now request all the delegates to come on the stage, please. Everybody, please.
All the delegates.
All the delegates.
थोड़ा थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए सर।
अरे हेलो,
थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए, जगह बन जाएगा।
आ जाओ कुमार, आ जाओ
पीछे पीछे
आ जाओ भाई, आ जाओ
सारे लोग आ जाओ।
All delegates, please come.
आगे आ जाओ,
ठीक है
देख रहा हूँ।
So, we are starting the next workshop. Please.
So next thing is the hands-on ACL reconstruction. So there is some model is there. So here we will demonstrate the ACL reconstruction on the saw model. So need the graft option for primary ACL reconstruction. Hamstring. Manish was. Rakesh was. Both were there. Hamstring. Sanjay da. Good day. So almost we have almost 100% vote for hamstring tendon. बहुत सारे लोग अभी shifted to the peroneus longus, easy to retrieve, but still we need a very long study over that to give yes for that. So maybe in revision cases, like we are discussing that 11 or 12 millimeter diameter, getting with hamstring is very difficult. But with this peroneus longus, it's very easy. Quadruple peroneus longus, always more than 10, more than 10. So in revision cases, it may be a good option. So always hamstring, and hamstring it may be quadruple semi-T, or maybe you can join the semi-T with the graceless, and then you do in either triple or double. So if you take a longer hamstring semi-T with little bit of periosteum from the proximal tibia, so almost in every cases we will have length of 28 or more than that. So anything of length more than 7 is okay. Length, required length.
I don't do all inside, so I think for required length for me is minimum 7.5 to 8.
7.5 to 8, Sunita.
7.5 to 8.
Manish was.
7.5.
Sanjay was.
Yeah. Diameter na length.
Length.
Okay, 75.
So mostly is 75.
What if you all inside then it is 65?
Good enough.
All inside. But if you are doing quadruple then it is hardly matters. Length is always there. That much of length is always there.
So 7.5 is good enough. No need to be for 10, 9 or something. If you have bigger graph, then you can always do triple or quadruple. That is the advantage. So 7.5 to 8 is good enough. About the diameter, Tarun?
8.
8. Dr.
Minimum 8. Higher elite athletes probably 9.
8 minimum, I mean, just to interrupt you, how often do you get 8 minimum? What is your graph? 6 fold.
So if I am doing an all inside, then 8 is not a problem.
And how do you
if I am doing a stand?
8 stand?
Yes, with 2 graphs, if I quadruple it, I get 8.
Yeah.
Rakesh boss.
Again, 8 should be. But for me, it is not always because I know that it will be a problem and lifting it, if I am doing quadruple all inside even, sometimes getting really 8 in a fat lady becomes difficult for me. So for me, adding an additional tendon may be perilous at that stage. I will not mind it at that time. But I will try at least to get 8. I will try.
So if your graph is suppose less than 8, would you go in for additional graph or you will go in for a
Yeah, I
IB?
said already. It should be additional
I
graph.
will go for an additional graph.
No
Yeah.
IB, no internal bracing for
Yes.
this.
No.
So message is graph should not be lesser than 8. This is very important because literature says if your graph is less than 8, chances of failure of graph is very high. And you know BPTP performing better than hamstring only because of diameter. Once your hamstring diameter is 9 or more than that, chances of failure with both the graph is same. Recently published in JDGS. So always try to make graph more than 8, or if you have to accept it should be minimum 8, not less than that. If it is lesser than that, you should add either this graceless or this opposite side hamstring. So anything less than 8 should not be accepted.
Can I have the opinion of the house on their indication for an internal brace? Do they do it? Do they not do it? If they do it, when do they do it?
Rajiv was.
We have started it, now we have stopped it because of lots of issues. We have differential stretching treatment. Second, the active side of the fiber side.
For delegates, internal bracing is the fiber tape you are adding with the graph at the time of ACL reconstruction.
So it's not a fiber tape, it's a non-absorbable tape.
Yeah, you have taken the hamstring tendon and you have added the tape with that living tendon also. So your tape is dead thing and your tendon is living thing that you are taking from the same patient.
Something like this.
Yeah, something like this.
You have a biological graph. With that you are putting a fibrous, synthetic tissue. So both have different stretchability. So that is the one concern. Second thing is that whenever some amount of synthetic material is there inside, any chances of synovitis or asymptomatic synovitis is quite high. So I think if you want to increase the graft diameter, opt for other option rather than going for internal brace.
Basically, fiber insertion of was especially for the sports person you are doing, and you have to send it back to activity straight away or in a minimal time. For me, mostly motorcycle accidents and lady who has slipped down. For me, bracing really, I can easily make them wait for 6 weeks before. Even I say just lie on your bed, she will lie. So that is what I mean.
We have certain experience of fiber internal bracing while doing the ACL reconstruction. Out of 5 cases, all are the sports person, high demanding athlete. Two is the cricket player and rest two is the wrestler. And out of five, two cases I did the revision reconstruction, and in that case I used the internal test. And the fifth one is a young girl who is from Patna and is staying in Dehradun, and she is playing polo.
So basically,
once
of the high
just a minute. Well, then she came back here after a year after doing the polo. Then she had injury and she came back here. There is no ACL inside the knee. Only there is torn fiber tape inside the knee. So I think the intra-articular fiber tape there is no.
Another indication is Google patient. They come with Google, search in Google, the internal bracing, and they will come with you the options, sir. आप internal brace करते हैं. And now it's your job to say them that what are the advantage and disadvantage of it.
Raman, do you really do in these patients knowing that there are certain inherent problems? They say, just put me attentive. What do you really do? I ask you for
I take those as a habitual distributor patient. I don't know what to do habitual.
Basically, they Google and they come.
They come with this
But
idea.
to give in to that demand that I put a thing which I really don't
So I think that's not the problem with the patient. It is some propagated video that say the internal bracing having advantage over the smoothing or without internal bracing your job may fail. So that propagated video is giving that thing in the mind of that patient. So almost everybody had withdrawn using this fiber tape because of associated. You are just putting a non-living thing inside the living thing. That is the one of the basic understanding of, because the thing is biology. Your fiber tape is not doing biology to your ligament, and it will be there throughout the life. So unless it's not 100% needed, like I started this surgery almost 8 years back. That guy was 147 kg taekwondo player from Arunachal Pradesh, and I don't have anything other than to put that internal brace. So such type of patient, or you are doing revision with ligamentous laxity patient, that is another indication for your fiber tape that will protect over laxity of the graft until it gets healed. And rest, mostly people has withdrawn using that internal bracing. About the last thing about the clinical test, many a times we had grade 1 anterior, grade 2 anterior, or grade 3 anterior, or grade 3 pivot shift. So whenever there is grade 3 pivot shift test positive, Rajiv, anything you think extra?
Explosive pivot, I think now a new indication of ALL has come, reconstruction of the ALL. So for me, it is for only revision cases. When I think there is explosive pivot in revision cases. So primary ACL usually I don't go for AL reconstruction. Sometimes now surgeons want to, after doing your ACL reconstruction, once you have completed your ACL reconstruction, they redo the pivot, and then they say when if there is slightest pivot is there, you go for AL reconstruction.
I don't same. I haven't done ALL till now for primary.
So grade 3 pivot with full blown anterior door.
I am thinking about it, but still not done.
So in such type of cases, either this posterolateral thing has attacked or something else, maybe some RAM or maybe root. That is possible.
I also still not doing AL reconstruction till now. I wait for some time, and many of the time, by the time they come back, number of things are there at the time when you have done the surgery initially, the laxity. Even if you see after 4 weeks, 5 weeks in good draw, it is a bit lax. But over the time, normally if it is not really a person who pushes into his knee activity, then it is not. But for the young people, what I was trying to ask all of my faculties here, these all people will get now MRI. To begin with, we look at the MRI report. Isn't it? Many of us look at that because number of times that especially we don't get anterior or we are not confident of ourselves. And there is a term called interstitial tear or myxoid degeneration. And the patient doesn't know. This is a very typical scenario. I don't know how many but I get regular. And mixoid degeneration or interstitial tear.
Patient is having pain most of the time.
And he is saying कि मेरा तो सर गड़बड़ाया हुआ है. अब आप बताइए क्या कीजिएगा? Please sir.
I have treated mucoid degeneration almost around 70 cases of mucoid degeneration. I started from 8 years back. I started with one of the medical students from the Katihar Medical College. First I did debridement, but patient don't have get rid of the pain. Then I did complete removal and ACL reconstruction. And after that I am doing complete ACL reconstruction in all of the 5 cases. One of my junior from the HU is doing this study and he is at Bangalore, Fortis Hospital. He is doing comparative study in between the partial removal with this complete ACL reconstruction. He is also presenting his result as for this year also. So it's also depends the amount of mucoid degeneration inside the ACL. Many a time you will see the diameter is almost double. The fiber is completely wide over the T2 fat site image. There is no any still ligament is left. Such type of knee should be reconstructed, and rest you can get rid of the debridement of the ACL. But only problem is that it's very difficult to differentiate with early mucoid degeneration which fiber is normal and which fiber is abnormal. But if it is full-blown mucoid degeneration, you can find the yellowish fiber, lot of yellowish thing inside the ligament.
Coming back to the previous question regarding the doing the ALL reconstruction. So what I feel that the patients who are young enough, around less than 25 years old, grade 2 plus pivot shift on examination and anesthesia, I would go for primary ACL reconstruction with a LET, not a reconstruction, ALL reconstruction.
No, I think grade 3 with one condition has to be attached. I mean, just we are missing that because you need to make sure that your meniscus is intact. Means the root tear or a large bucket renal tear can give you a grade 3 pivot. Grade 3 pivot without these two things, people are actually thinking about ALL or LET reconstruction.
Usually you should get before discussing for the explosive.
Yeah, exactly.
Regarding required, I think it's the internal impingement with the PCL which is cause of pain.
Exactly.
And also was is the fiber. You can find the fiber like if you have operated BIC bone fragment ischemic contracture and the muscle is yellow. Similar finding you will find the in ACL of full blown mucoid degeneration also. So that fiber is actually painful. And as we have removed that fiber, whether you reconstruct or not reconstruct, patient will not have any.
Yeah, I think there are reports that if you reconstruct at the same sitting, the chances of mucoid degeneration in the reconstructed ACL is very high. So there are people who have said even if you remove the entire ACL, you delay it by 2 to 3 months. If the patient symptom persists, then you can reconstruct it. Because if you do the reconstruction, you can have a different center as well. That the chance of recurrent mucoid degeneration in reconstructed ACL is high if you do it a primary ACL reconstruction.
So we need lot of publication over that. Till now I have did all the cases in single stage for last year. Luckily I don't have so much of knowledge. And I'm telling you it's very common. Almost one case in a 2 month I have. In 1 year almost 12 to 15 cases I am operating this mucoid degeneration. It's very common.
And these typically hyperplexia they get pain.
Yeah,
like your typical meniscus the kind of symptom, not the instability kind of symptom.
Because what happens, the hyperflexion usually the fiber stretches out and you have internal impingement with the PCL also.
Because of bulging.
In MRI you see typical white ACL in between images, and when you put your scope inside you will not get this vascular lining which you normally get in the ACL. And once you shave it, you will see the yellowish fibers there, which is normally white in native ACL, normal ACL.
Yeah, so after this graph discussion, we will come to the portal, most common anterolateral portal, that is the viewing portal, and the working portal is the anteromedial portal. इसको थोड़ा ऊपर तक करिए, विकास कोई बात नहीं. And check angles, Rajiv was
55 degree for
55 degree.
normally yes.
55 degree. Actually,
I have one thing to say because I think because see 55 is only valid if this is your horizontal cut. what we do, our antenatal portal is little high. So whenever you put this like this, your TBI
will come to that. Will come to that.
Yeah, there only. So if it is 15 degree with the horizontal, then your jig needs to be adjusted 15 degrees. Then only you get a 50. If you want a 55 with this 15 degree, then you probably make it 15 plus 15, 70. Then you will get a 55 degree angle. So it doesn't make that what angle you use the jig. You need to make this horizontal, then only here. So I don't rely on the angle, I rely on the length of the turtle. I usually tend to make that after touching the outer cortex, my turtle is 30 or more.
Rakesh boss, any variation?
One has to consider, if you are doing both ACL and PCL, it is very important for anybody, if you are doing both ACL and PCL at the same time, you have to have a gap. See, if it is 70, 55, 50 is good enough. If you are doing alone ACL, be comfortable. For 50, 55, 50, 45, chalega.
No, not like that. But for the beginner, I just want to say the broker which is remaining outside of the tibia plus 10 to 15 is the correct amount of the tunnel, I think so. So the angle is not so much important. The outside the length is the most important.
You can adjust it. Decrease the angle, make a small tunnel, increase the. Suppose the graph is small, then decrease it.
Yeah, if you can come to the lesser angle. If graph is thicker, because you have take more from the anterior side and posterior side, then you can increase the angle from 55 to 60 or 60.
Standard is 55, not 55.
So, and similar that already student boss has explained that this is the holding position, like you are holding like that. If you are coming from high anteromedial so this length will be less. And once you are horizontal,
Standard normal standard team है. You have 4 centimeter standard, but you can increase this.
What the placement of the jig? Medial side is this. So for the placement of the bullet on the tibial contact, we have discussed that it should be around 2 centimeters from the tibial to the and in this angle, like this should be 30 degrees. Not too much like that, not too much like that. So from tibial to the tibial angle, this is around 30 degrees.
स्क्रीन पे रिले करा स्क्रीन पे रिले हाँ ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा ऑन कर दो राकेश
So and this is the medial tibial spine that we were talking about, and this is the elevation. So your guide wire should come along the parallel to just touching to this medial tibial spine. So Nita has said the lateral meniscus anterior horn should be the guide, and this, if you see the PCL part, this is around 7 to 8 millimeter anterior. So our jig is almost in between the entire this medial tibial spine, lateral tibial spine, and just glossing over that. And this.
सब कोई याद रखो, ये जो बताया जा रहा है, lot of difference with the jig you are using. Deep aiming, angle aiming, follow aiming. इस बात पे एकदम याद रखो कि it's a difference. What jig you are using, keep it in mind. What jig you are using. This is artistic jig, but this has got its own qualities. Deep aimer will have its own positioning. Angle aimer will have its own elbow aimer will have its own position. So you have to know this.
So you have to know your jig, but the main thing is that your wire should come just medial lateral to the medial tibial spine in between the intertibial space. So and also when you are drilling it, always keep your bullet flush to the bone, and one body has to hold this because everybody don't have first facility of this striker or dentist drill. So always try to hold it, because any movement of 1 to 2 millimeter will lead to deflection of your this. So you can see here, this is not the exactly where we want to come. And this happen intra-articular also. And at this position, if you extend it, that we are discussing, this wire is exactly not going into the intercondylar area. So this means your ACL tunnel is anterior. इसको थोड़ा आगे बढ़ाओ।
कैमरा लेके वहाँ चले जाओ।
Now you can see this is not going inside the intertropical groove. So exactly this is getting over the condyle of the tibia. It means your tunnel is anterior. So and you can see the medial tibia and tibial spine is somewhere there. So you should have to be there. So take it out. Take your time. Place your tibial tunnel exactly where it should be. So again we'll go there. Chalo.
सुमित सर इधर
आगे जाओ आगे जाओ आगे जाओ।
अरे फिर पीछे को नहीं ना दिखेगा अब तो जब आगे तो नहीं ना दिखेगा
It's a footprint jig, yeah?
Yeah, it's the footprint jig of Arthex and other company having elbow reamer or tip reamer. So that now you can see this is going exactly inside the intercondylar area. It's not hitting this condyle, and it should be almost 7 to 8 millimeter from this part. You can see here. Anything posterior to that will lead to again impingement over your PCL, and also there will be restricted flexion in posterior. If your tibial beak pin is anterior, tunnel is anterior, you will have restricted extension, full extension, and if it is posterior, then instability will be there, and also impingement with the PCL, and patient will have restricted full flexion. So after this guide, you can do first tibial part or you can do first femoral part. I am doing tibial part, that Sanjay Dada has said, because if you are doing the femoral thing first, there will be this wire of the railing part that sometime may get entrapped your with reamer. So all the time I do tibial part first. Chalo,
You can ask questions anytime.
Yeah.
Just keep on asking questions. That is important. Keep on asking absurd questions.
Yeah.
कुछ भी झूठ पूछ दो।
Yeah.
पूछो। पूछो। दूसरे को समझना।
Everybody was the same at your level. हम लोग भी ऐसे ही शुरू किए थे. So
टीवीएल में करेंगे तो हमेशा एक्सटेंशन करके ऐसा डिटेल हम चेक कर लेना चाहिए।
Yeah, it's always in initial days you always check.
क्वेश्चन इज
Yeah.
टीवीएल ड्यूरेशन डिस्टेंस मीडियल इंट्री बोर्ड बनाया सर गाइड वाइज डाले हैं उसका डिस्टेंस फिक्स्ड है या फिर मीडियल से
Yeah, from the medial side you are medial tibial part you are saying. Around 2 centimeter it is, but it can vary if you are doing primary ACL.
Very important is that when you are putting the jig in and you try to get it right up to the tibia, your hand, जो तुम्हारा entry portal जो है ना, वो तुमको बहुत गाइड करेगा। तुम कहाँ पर तुम्हारा जो एट्रोमीडियल पोर्टल है जिससे तुम जिम जा रहे हो, वो कितना लैटरल है कितना मीडियल है वो तुम्हारे हाथ को गाइड करेगा। लेकिन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग है कि एग्जिट पॉइंट शुड बी परफेक्ट, एंट्री पॉइंट ओके। इसमें जैसे अभी एक जैसे फर्स्ट टाइम एक गाइड वायर गलत पोजीशन पर आ गया तो उसको निकाल के फिर से डालना है एक गुड। दूसरा है कि if it is within 2 or 3 mm, you drill it with a 4 mm.
A smaller reamer.
4.51 and get the guide wire medial or lateral, whatever you want, and then go for with 7 or 8 reamer. You are holding it to the medial or lateral, wherever you want the tunnel to go, and then drill over it. So, a relatively अलग method. It is always good कि तुम निकाल के फिर से करो, फिर से चला जाए तो बड़ा अच्छा है। फिर नहीं गया तो क्या करोगे? You can't put a number of इसको pipe testing तो कर नहीं सकते।
So next, the same size reamer of your graft. So And one thing, always your assistant should take the Langen bag to retract your skin. Otherwise with the reamer, many a time in post-op period, at the time of suture removal, you see there will some blackening of your skin. So take care of that. At this stage, you should hold this tip of 30%. Yeah, that's better. Tip of this bead pin with the help